You can't hurt us! No one can hurt us here! Tell him, Mummy! Tell him!
I don't know, I feel like sometimes we forget the way things were, the way things, or how things came about. And for whatever reason, I get so bothered when things that aren't really true are like out there and stuff.
He's just trying to frighten us.
So 2014, Bacho decides to have this grand plan of giving this massive raise across the board to teachers, to administrators, to everybody, which, I mean, everybody thought was great because, well, it's a raise. Everybody likes a raise. Who doesn't? I like raises.
I want to see the bad man fly.
The only problem with that was that when team change came in, and like I said, this is not to offend anybody. I'm not trying to piss people off. I'm just stating what I believe and what a lot of truth is that they made a lot of political changes. They created a ton of positions that it's not necessarily that they're not heard of. They're just not necessary for a district our size.
I'm hungry. Hush, my darling. I just ate.
Positions were created. People were promoted left and right. Money was spent like crazy. I mean, it was some of the biggest changes that happened so quickly, and that were so big in our school, not in our, but in RGCCISD.
You will not support us then? Do I understand you correctly?
But I'm hungry!
Soon, love, soon.
I mean, her name was scrutinized. I mean, there was accusations of fraud, or not fraud, but, of her, altering bids and favoring companies, which is really confusing.
I was fixing it!
Knocking things down isn't fixing them, it's ruining them.
I didn't ruin it!
You're being stupid.
I didn't ruin it!
There's a lot of people that are kind of upset right now. They're being moved, they're being demoted, they're losing a title. And I find it ironic because their salaries aren't changing. Yes, their titles are changing, but their salaries aren't changing. They still have a job. They're not being embarrassed all over town with false accusations, nor were their certificates being investigated by SBEC because of the accusations that were given. And my mom was. She was straight up fired, and she was being investigated. And the thing is that didn't just affect her. That affected our entire family. That affected me big time. A lot of these changes that Team Change made, not fake positions, but these new positions that weren't needed, this overspending that wasn't needed, these promotions that weren't needed. So lately, or the past couple of days, and at the board meeting, or the past board meeting, Bacho was like, hope and hope and hope, and we did this, and in 5 months, and da-da-da, and all this stuff, and whatever. I mean, honestly, why? You're not in the classroom. You're not in the classroom. You've never been, as far as I know, ever been in the classroom, been a teacher. And like I said, I'm not trying to disrespect Bacho, this is what I believe to be true. Don't make it seem like you're the one making these magic numbers happen. Don't make it seem like you are the one who is staying at the school district, in the schools till 9, 10 o'clock, grading papers and coming up with, engaging activities for the students and cutting, artistic, signs for your classroom to look nice, for the kids to have a nice place to come to, and going through all these sacrifices, because you're not. You just sit on a board that makes decisions. And while, yes, a board should be respected and upheld to, you make the decisions that trickle down that allow these things to happen, but you're not the reason why they happened. And I think that should be known. And I feel bad because a lot of teachers, not a lot of teachers, but there's a bunch of teachers that, are like, yes, Team Hope, like, thank you so much. And it's like, thank you? What do you mean, thank you? This man is a part of the reason why you are having a hard time to get a raise. And you're thanking him? Thanking him for what? I don't understand. And I guess that's what bothers me.
I pity them.
Why?
Because it won't last. Because they are the nights of summer and winter is coming.
Let me take this opportunity to thank you again for having me on your show. I hear that a lot of people listen to your particular podcast, and I'm very grateful that you give me this opportunity. With that said, let me start off with this. I want to begin by thanking every single child in the RGCCISD school district, every parent in the RGCCISD school district, and all the RGCCISD family for making it possible to increase our score from a C to a B. We had the biggest increase of any school district in the Valley. And the only ones really who deserve all that credit are the people that I just mentioned. We as school board members, all we do is direct the boat a little bit. But at the end of the day, the credit goes to our family, our GCCISD, our parents, and our children. Thank you for a job well done. And with that said, I am going to now go into the fact of where we are with raises. This is a topic that's been thrown around back and forth, up and down and all around. We in Team Hope, which is Eddie, Noe, and Basilio, believe that teachers should be compensated for that job they just accomplished. How do you compensate them? Well, I do believe that we should have compensation very equivalent to what's happening in the Valley. In the Valley, you have raises of $4,000, $5,000 and things of that nature, $35,000. With that said, we're going to stick to what we said before. We believe that teachers that have more than 7 years experience should make $4,000. Teachers with less than 7 years should make $3,500. We should also believe that, or we all believe that paraprofessionals, teacher aides should make $2,000 if they have more than 7 years, and they should make $1,500 if they have less than 7 years. Now here comes the interesting part, money. Some people say, we don't have the money. The money doesn't exist. Well, let me just tell you right now, we have approximately $5.9 million from the state to give raises. We have approximately $6.7 million, which is not included in our budget because accordingly, we have not gotten our NOGA. In other words, we have not gotten the money. But according to our federal programs director, she said the money is coming. We have approximately in excess of $1 million that we could use from workman's comp. Basically, we have too much money in the workman's comp. We're self-insured. We have $4.5 million in lawsuit money. We can use a little bit of that. Well, we have all this money, and yet we can't be competitive with teachers. I say, why not? We deserve the best, our RGCCISD family. We say we don't have any money. We say we don't have money for raises, but yet we're being presented to approve approximately $60,000 in lawyers' fees in our next board meeting. $60,000 of lawyers' fees. We had a lot of lawsuits. The school made some money, but who made the majority of the money? At the end of the day, we here continue to give attorneys money upon money. Let's put that money where it's more wisely invested. That is in you, all the employees of the RGCCISD family. The employees of the RGCCISD family, you know what? You're the ones who deserve all that money. $60,000 in lawyers' fees in this packet. It just seems absurd to me. I will say one thing, and I kind of basically did some math. I'm pretty good in math, so I'm here to tell you that I did some calculations calculations. If you were to get 2 stipends of $1,000 and 1 raise of $1,000, in 3 years, you would make $26.66 every month for the rest of your life. If you got a $1,200 raise for 3 years, you'd make $160 for the rest of your life every month. If you went on a 4-year plan, you would get, if you got 3 stipends of $1,000 and 1 raise of $1,200, you get $20 a month for the rest of your life. Conversely, if you got $1,200 for 4 years in a row, you'd make $200 a month for the rest of your life. And then the last one, 5 years. If you were to make 4 stipends of $1,000, 1 raise of $1,200, you would make $16 every month for the rest of your life. Conversely, if you were to get $1,200 for 5 years in a row, you'd make $240 a month for the rest of your life. What I'm here to tell you is, not only are you losing money right now because you're getting stipends and not raises, but you're going to lose tens of thousands of dollars in your retirements as you all grow old. It is affecting you more than you can believe in your retirement. You are losing hundreds of dollars a month for the rest of your life, and that is just plain wrong. And that's how come we believe that you've gotten 1 raise in the last 4 years. We believe that it's time. Noe, Eddie, and Basilio believe that it's time that employees get compensated the way they should. A few points. It's not the fault of the teachers that we spent $7.129 million in energy efficiency. It's not the fault of the teachers that we spent several $million on artificial turf for football and I guess soccer. It's not the fault of the teachers that we lost $100,000 in moving portable buildings. It's not the fault of the teachers that we built a swimming pool in Eyesore in front of Fort Ringel for $300,000 and it probably needs another $100,000 to finish when we could have fixed the old pool for probably $100,000. It's not the fault of the teachers that we hire a person for the coming year and pay her $50,800 a year without her working a single day. Not yet anyway. It's not right. Some people are struggling out there working every day and people are just collecting a check. That's just plain wrong. It's not the fault of the teachers that we hired a superintendent, and not to say she's not a bad superintendent, but we hired a superintendent and it's going to cost us an extra $300,000 in comparison to the superintendent we had before. It's not the fault of the teachers that we spent millions and millions of lawsuit dollars. I still don't know where we spent them because schools didn't get fixed, did they? It's not the fault of the teachers that we fired, if not all or most of the paraprofessional permanent sub teachers. But sadly, we already brought anywhere between 25 and 45 back at a cost of between $600,000 to $900,000. And who did we bring back? Did we let the principals or the different directors apply and hire the people they wanted? Or did some people just send the people they thought they needed to send? At the end of the day, you fire a lot of people and then you bring them back. It doesn't make sense. The thing about it is, right now we're hiring permanent substitute teachers. Are they certified? Do they have the proper credentials? I've been told that maybe 1 or 2 may have them, but the majority don't. And yet we have the youth of today that have gone to college 4 years, got their degrees and are fully certified, and they can't find a job in Rio Grande. They have to go to San Antonio, Austin, Houston, Dallas, and we're hiring people who don't have their proper credentials. That's just plain wrong again. Plain wrong. And this is for the people in the school board that keep claiming that certain groups spent the money, that we spent the money, they spent the money. Well, I'm just going to say one simple thing, and I have a copy of the budget right now. A copy of the budget that was approved not by us, but by the previous board has a $246 deficit, my friend. Let me repeat that. $9,929,000 with 246. That's a lot of money. $9,929,246. That's incredible. And add to the deficit Tango. That's another $200,000. Add to the deficit computers. That's another $500,000. And don't get me wrong. I think maybe the school kids do need some supplies, and maybe so. But add a $900,000. Maybe they could have used $250,000 in supplies. So what is their deficit now? Is it 12 or 13 million dollars? You decide. These, and we'll be putting them up. These numbers come from the budget that was approved last August, not this August. So who spent the money? You decide. You know, to add to the problems that we had, when they say that this money is not going to add to our deficit, well, ladies and gentlemen, it is going to add to our deficit. What am I talking about? Yes, we bought every single teacher a computer. But for you teachers, let me make one thing perfectly clear. That computer belongs to the school. You're going to have to check it out. I asked one simple question. Would you have liked basically a little bit more of a monetary monetary increase or a computer. Maybe we should have left that up to you. We spent anywhere between $700,000 and $950,000 on school supplies. And don't get me wrong, I think that some school supplies are a good thing. But at the end of the day, maybe paper, folders, pencils, crayons, a few things. Because the thing that teaches kids is not paper and pencils. The thing that teaches kids are teachers. Our teachers are the ones who teach our children. Yes, the paper, the pencils are vehicles for it, but the one who really goes out there and makes it happen are our teachers. And that's what can I say, our teachers need to be given all the benefit they can as far as salaries are concerned. They're the ones in the front line. Today, we can honestly say to you teachers, are you tired of having 25 and 30 kids from your classroom? And then we have this idea of co-teachers that are floating around. Shouldn't we go out there and divide the class loads by all the teachers and reduce class sizes? At the end of the day, we went out there and I use the word we, as a school district, as parents, as children, did a tremendous job as far as their academics. If it worked well, why are we changing it? That's just surprising to me. In closing, I'm just going to say a couple of things. At the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, children, employees, we have to compensate the people who work for us. To say it can't be done, I refuse to have that notion, to have that idea. It can be done. Now, do people want to do it? I don't know. In one hand, we have people saying we can't afford it. But on the other hand, we have people spending money left and right like it's going out of style. My friends, you, the teachers, have gotten one raise in the last 4 years. It's time that we step up to the plate, give the teachers what they deserve. And what is that? Proper compensation. And we're not asking to give the teachers something that's out of sight, out of mind. We're just asking to give the teachers, listen to me, we're asking to give the teachers what the rest of the valley is giving. That's all. There's ways of doing it. I've already pointed out there's monies to be had. In closing, I'm just going to leave you with one last thought. The last thought I have to tell you is basically this, and I like to use this, comes from on a show. To all you, to the RGCCISD family, to all the children, to all the parents, winter is coming. Let me repeat it. Winter is coming. The seasons are going to change. Thank you. Again, go Gators and go Rattlers, and let's have a wonderful, tremendous year. Thank you very much.
In my opinion, there is no substitute for going straight to the source. The information is public, it's there and it's available. It's the trouble that we go through to gather it, analyze it, and to try to piece the truth together from what people are using to hide the truth. And what I see is you've been doing this for a very long time, and you bring to the table something that you can do proficiently because over the years, you've begun to understand where to look for the information, how to put it together, and how to translate it into what it means. It's almost like you can see the intentions of what people are trying to do based on all the things that they're requesting and the things that they are asking for. The individual voter, we don't have that luxury. And sometimes I feel that when we turn to you, some people might not want to believe or trust what you bring to the table. I'm more objective. I look at the information for what it is. Like many other people, I draw my own conclusions, and it's very difficult after listening to what you bring to the table. It's very difficult for me not to see the reality of it. And the reality is that the people that sit across from you at the board meetings, they're not trying to do good things.
Well, the thing about it is this. Everything I talk about can be proven by facts. Whether it's the $7.129 million for energy efficiency, many millions for turf, $100,000 for portable buildings, and so on. All these, the deficit. We had a $10 million deficit, like I talked to you about. That's a deficit they approved. We can honestly say, well, we bought Tango for $200,000. We bought computers for $500,000. Don't get me wrong. I think some supplies are good, but we spent $900,000 in some. So what is our deficit now? $12, $13 million? I don't know. But these deficits were not created by us. These deficits were already built in by August 31st of last year, of which we were not even elected at the time.
Right. There are still people out there that will say, well, no, that's your opinion.
It's not my opinion. These are facts. And anytime anybody wants, I can produce all these documents whenever they need.
I think the people have to know, how much do I charge you for doing this?
You don't charge me a penny. It is something that I love coming and disclosing to the general public, because I think what you just said, a lot of the general public does not really know what's really going on. And it is, I think, my job, and I want to thank you for facilitating the truth. Let's get the information out there. Whatever the truth is, the truth will set you free.
I'm watching you adapting to a new source of media and employing it and using it and taking from your day to explain to people that it's not opinion, it's fact. And to bring the paperwork and say, this is why it's fact. And it's something that you don't see coming from the other side. I hear a lot of people making a lot of noise, staking a lot of claims. And as you know, if you can't produce the proof, Bernice getting hired like that, it's not in my opinion.
Well, the thing about it is basically this. There's what they call Chapter 21 and non-Chapter 21. We didn't have to hire her. And I'm not trying to say, well, suspend her without pay. Hey, okay, maybe she deserves the benefit of the doubt. Fine, but don't pay her. But why do we have to pay her? We could use that money and give raises to people. That is money that we could have used. And the question I'm saying, whether you want to fire her or not fire her, I'm not asking that. Well, if you're going to give it to her, don't pay her. But yet, here we are on recommendations of people to go out there and pay her. And she hasn't worked or has not worked to this day a single day. Is that right? Absolutely not.
And then I think the next question is going to be how many more people like her are out there?
Well, I'm not familiar. I'll be honest with you. I don't know. This is one that I picked up, but like I say again, it just plain wrong. Now, if you were a Chapter 21 employee, you're entitled to certain benefits. But the fact of the matter is this. In the past, they fired people for things of that nature. They fired when people got indicted. They got fired when people got arrested. And you know what? They let people go because they were on the wrong political side. They just didn't give them a contract.
There's a lot of that going on. It seems like the idea of political races has gone from what used to be just opponents, people that would say, okay, let's say, for example, I was running against you and we shake hands and we start talking about what we believe is better for the school. And then after the whole deal, we break away from it and it's like, well, have a good one and say hi to the wife and the kids for me. And now it's turned into this flat out, oh, you're going to run against me? Then you are my mortal enemy and I want to do everything to destroy your credibility, people's perception of you, and it doesn't stop. It's 24/7 now.
Well, the bottom line is this. My belief, and I think the belief of whether it's Noe, Eddie, or myself is, if you're capable of doing the job, doesn't matter what side you're on. I can tell you that many years ago, there was an individual who was in the opposing side. His wife was one of the better candidates to be a principal. And guess what? She became the principal because she was the best person to be the principal at the time, even though the gentleman was on the other side, because it should not be about sides. It's about who can do the job more effectively. Because at the end of the day, we're dealing with children. We're not dealing with adults. So let's go put the people that can be more effective, the people who can do the better job with our children. And I can go example after example where in the past it's all about that. It's about going out there and putting the best people, the most effective people. And the idea is simply put, I basically loathe the idea of firing people because of politics. I will say that we went in there and at the end of the day, we modified a few things, but nobody really lost their job. Nobody got fired. Nothing happened. People shouldn't get hurt. Everybody has to make a living.
Everyone has to make a living. And it's like you mentioned, it's the best people for the job. You come in and you do a clean sweep and get rid of people and bring back and fill them in. That's a political stunt that's been done with changes in factions of politics, just about everywhere throughout time. The whole point is that when the school is at a critical point, when the school has come out of it from the low grade that it had to where it is now, take consideration of that.
Well, I think the other thing that we need to take a look at is this. Anytime you talk city politics, state politics, county politics, you're dealing with adults. Adults in many ways have already living the dream. They're where they need to be. But when we're talking about children, we're talking about the future of tomorrow. When we talk state politics, county politics, city politics, we're talking about the future of today.
One of the things that I saw that disturbed me was Dr. B's reaction to people, I guess, not really getting what they expected to get. And so she comes out.
I think I know what you're talking about, sir. That if people were not satisfied with the supplies they got,
right,
to contact her directly.
As a school board member, what are the technicalities of that to begin with?
The fact that they call it, well, let me start off with governance is when school board members try and run the school. That's what come you have a superintendent to run schools. Anytime that there is problems, the superintendent should be taking care of those problems. Let me just say it plain Jane. The responsibility of a school board is to set policy, hire people, and the finances. That is the school board's job. It is not to go into classrooms, sit in classrooms, ask if they got another supplies and things of that nature. And if there was a problem, then we need to talk to the superintendent and tell him we're having a lot of complaints. Go check what it is. She runs the schools, not the board members. The thing about it is this. Should I go out there and say, hey, anybody who has problems, go contact B Villarreal at this address or at this phone number? That's just not right. If you have problems, go contact the superintendent. If you have problems, go contact the principal. Don't be contacting the board members. We're not there. We don't run the school. The superintendent runs the school. We as board members, we are trustee trustees. Listen to the word trustees. We're trusted to make sure that the finances and the people getting hired, that's what we are there for. We're not there to go into a classroom, sit in a chair and say teacher A is doing a good job or teacher B is doing a bad. And I'll give them credit. Like this, somebody had an idea that they wanted to bring baseball to the junior highs. You talk to the superintendent brings it forward and it happens. Well, that's the way you get it done. It doesn't go out there and Villarreal goes and shows up to junior high. Hey, you need baseball? Well, let me go out there and help you out with baseball. I'm going to go out. No, man. You go talk to the superintendent, let her take care of it.
I was watching the video from Jay Solis. A lot of people were confused by this young man. He's in San Antonio, right?
Yes, sir.
To me, what I took from it is that he still harbors a lot of animosity towards the people that at one point in time fired his mom, and he makes it sound like it was just out of spite. And it's my understanding that it wasn't. It's my understanding that she was involved, correct me if I'm wrong, with getting Tango in there in a manner that...
Make no mistake, I want to say two things. I give Ms. Garza some credit because she went out there to TA and cleared her name. She did a great job. But make no mistake, Danny Garcia and all those people that were with him accused her of bid rigging, and had her credentials pulled for about a year. She got suspended with pay, got from the school, suspended with pay for a year. She was reported to the FCC, which is the Federal Communications something in Washington. And to her credit, she got cleared completely.
But she got paid.
But she got paid for a whole year without working. And all that shows is that she was innocent of all the things that Danny Garcia and the clan accused her of. But the sad fact is that we paid her a whole year without her working one day. But the irony of all this is that now Ms. Garza is working for the same people who accused her of bid rigging with Tango and a few other people. And to her credit, she cleared her name. But now we're working for the same people who basically threw her out of her school district.
Well, Jay wants to say that she went in there and basically showed her resume and everybody agreed that she was the best thing and that she doesn't know anyone on the board any favors. But in looking at what it took for someone in Rio Grande City to be a part of the school involved with those people, Danny and Letty Lopez, a person cannot ignore the fact that no matter who you are, at some point you had to go through Pino Lopez.
I'm going to say this, and this is all I'm going to say. The idea, I'm not going to diminish Ms. Garza's qualifications in any form or fashion. The only thing we were fighting is simply put, Mr. Gonzalez did a good job and was costing us 120 plus whatever the penalties are, maybe 130 some thousand. Ms. Garza was going to cost us 200, 220, and 235, I believe. And it's all economics. And what do I mean all economics? Over a 3-year period or 3.5-year period, we're going to save $300,000. And doesn't that not make sense for a district that is in the red or basically has a deficit? Don't you want to try and save money? It's not nothing about her qualifications. I think she does a good job. But the fact of the matter is, if you can have somebody who just picked up the scores, the most, him and the rest of the people, the teachers and the families and the parents, picked up all these scores, and we can save $300,000. And we have, and I just showed you, we had a $10 million deficit. Are we fighting to try and save money?
Well, we're fighting for something, and that's definitely one of the things that we're fighting for, is try to save money. I think we're fighting to make a distinction between who's good and who's bad. And when you've got Pino Lopez basically facing the indictment, you got Danny Garcia, briberies, the same, involved with the same stuff. I can't ignore that Letty Lopez goes home and has to sit down and talk to Pino Lopez. I can't ignore that this whole mentality is still there. I can't look at Vilma and think to myself, there wasn't an evening where you sat down to have dinner or drinks or something to talk about your future that had to be sanctified by the very people that are going to jail, and we are still perpetuating that draconian mobster style of politics.
All I'm going to say is basically this, and I'm not going to deny anything. Mr. Pino Lopez was a good friend of mine for the longest time. We split up over the superintendent, and it is all about economics. It's all about, you have Mr. Gonzalez, a seasoned superintendent that has already proven that he could do well, that is would have saved us a ton of money. And that's all it was. Because at the end of the day, the only thing for me is what is best for our kids, for our district, and things of that nature. At the end of the day, that's what's most important to me. The other people, whether it's the Ms. Lopez, the Danny's, the Eliazares, or Dr. B's, they think that putting Vilma there was the best thing. We'll find out.
What are the chances of somebody like me getting a paycheck from RGCCISD for free for doing nothing? Now I understand where Bernice was getting paid to do the politicking from. I keep looking at Roma thinking to myself, they took the money out through the lawyers and that's how they handled the campaigns. Well, now I know where she got the money and the time to be on Facebook 24/7.
Well, that is probably the the disappointing part is that we have an individual that, and like I'm saying, maybe we keep her on contract, but don't pay her. But we're paying her without her not working. That just doesn't seem right. We have people that are looking for raises and we don't want to give them to them. That just doesn't seem right. And at the end of the day, I believe that everybody's innocent until proven guilty. And the way you do it is just suspend her without pay. And if you ever get proven innocent, there's your job. It's like we get into this thing about tango. All I ever said, sir, is let the teachers decide. That's the only thing I said. Let the teachers decide. And if the teachers say they want tango, more power to them. Give it to them. But if the teachers say no, no. But at the end, they're the ones who are going to use it every day. How come we cannot go out there and give it to the people who are going to use it on a daily basis and let them decide? That's all I'm trying to say.
I spoke to one of your techies, and I'm not going to mention any names. One of your techies said that tango back in the day, he says, I don't know what it's like now, but he said back in the day was a nightmare for us. The kids lost the pens, the PDAs, because it wasn't like now that we have all these devices. He says it was a nightmare. And he also agreed that people should have, teachers, they should have asked them, hey, how do you guys feel about tango? They should have been given an opportunity to check what has changed.
Well, the problem is tango was, I think, at $195,000. And then DMAC was $35,000. And then went through this big program where that all these programs, in fact, that tango was going to be a bargain. Well, what they forgot to tell people is, I think one or two of those programs we had already purchased. So how is it going to be a bargain? You know, and again, I just go one simple fact. Well, as we speak, we have teachers or people in the school district downloading lesson plans, downloading exams, keys, and things into the tango product. Well, everything was already set in DMAC. So how many hundreds or thousands, I don't know, or 50, or how many hours are we spending inputting everything into tango? Have we even, you say it's costing us $195,000. Well, that may sound fine, but what if we put 500 hours at what, $25, $30 an hour?
You're saying
what is it?
It starts at 190 because that's
exactly the point. And I'm not trying to say at the end, if the teachers wanted that, more power to them. It's like the computers. I think what it would have been nice is, do you want a computer? Do you want the compensation? And if the teacher said, I want the computer, I'm more power to them. If they want the compensation, give it to them. But the fact of the matter is that the computers don't belong to them. They belong to the school, and the teachers are going to check it out.
My brain is thinking, and it's going into this dangerous mode. I'm thinking tango was the problem with this whole bidding stuff back in the day. So is there some kind of association or relationship between the people behind tango and the people that were trying to get it into the school?
Well, the only thing that I find amusing, and I use the word amusing, that we have the Danny Garcias of this world claiming that Vilma Garza bid-rigged many of the products and technology, including tango. Basically reported to TA, FCC, got her suspended, and through her credit, she got her credentials back, and more power to her. But then Danny Garcia, after makes all this big show and all his crew, basically, and let me put it, they go out there and vote for tango again.
Without even talking to anybody.
Well, the question I say is, how do you say it's bid rigging 4 years ago and it's good today is beyond me. But then I go to one simple thing. Let the teachers decide.
I see Gocha in the middle protecting Danny. I see Gocha as the puppet, this man who's being controlled. And he wants to get onto the seat of the DA, of the man that's in charge of making sure that criminals go to jail. The man who you go to when you need something like a TRO at the school board level, because he gets blamed for everything. They want to pin everything on him.
Well, the thing that we need to understand is that 4 local attorneys made in the excess of $2.4, $2.6, $2.2, $2.8 million, somewhere around there. And the interesting part is that the school boards basically pick the attorneys. And the only thing I say, and I will say, is one, there were 4 attorneys, and I don't mind mentioning them to you. Is Gocha was one, Gil, Falcón, I believe, was the second one, Hilda Gonzalez was the third one, and Marquil Sanchez was the fourth one. And the thing that I find curious is that, well, Gocha gets a piece of the pie from the lawsuits, and now he's defending one of the board members. It's just funny. Let me put it that way.
He's defended the board members. He's been an advocate of trying to clear Leti Garza Galvan's name. I've seen him with promoting whatever Bernice is doing. Bernice has helped him out a lot also in things of that nature.
Well, the only thing I say is basically these 4 attorneys have made a lot of money. So the only thing I say is, what have they given back to our school? That's all. Show me scholarships or things of that nature, and what have they given back to our school? And at the end of the day, if they have more power, but I haven't seen it, and I'd like to see it. But how? And it's like I explained to you last time. My idea would have been given every single attorney in our school district a chance at making a little bit of money. Instead of 4 people making a bunch of money, why don't we get 10, 12, 13 attorneys make a little bit of money so they all can help themselves out?
And they pick up the experience that goes with it also. Have you noticed, I don't know, have you noticed that you and everyone that's come on here is beginning or has begun to change the dynamics of the politics?
Well, I don't know. The only thing I can tell you is the dynamics of the politics will only change only if our electorate want it. If the people are ready. And if the people are ready, they'll get it. And I feel proud to say that, not that I'm tooting my own horn, but when 2 candidates and we all 3 win and some of us win by 1,000 votes and over 1,000 votes, that means that people are looking for something different. And at the end of the day, that they're tired of the way the system is working. I'll be honest with you, when we basically got in there for a little while, we didn't really change very few people. It's like, let me give you an example. La Grulla High School. I'm so proud of that high school. They had a 60 and they went to an 86. Well, the sad thing, if I could say something, is that they've lost approximately anywhere between 4 to 6 administrators, and they've only been given 1. La Grulla, at times, I'm thinking now they're being set up to fail. If they got went from a 60 to an 86, there's something good happening there.
Right.
But how do you take all these people away and not give the individual at least half the people back?
Jay Solis complains about some elementary schools still being at an F, and what do you say to Jay in response to that?
At the end of the day, I'm going to say one thing, and this is the only thing. We increased from a C to a B. We had 1 bed elementary. Every single elementary was a B and 1 A. We had 1 elementary was an F, but go look at it last year. There were D's and C's. We looked like an alphabet. Today, everyone, all we had to do is change that elementary and make that elementary come, and we'd have gotten an A. Yeah, but go look at it, what it was a year ago or 2 years ago. We looked like the alphabet.
Do you think that it was the supplies that they needed?
I learned a long time ago. When I went to college, the guys, the people that I truly, truly appreciated were all the great teachers that I had. I'd be honest with you, I couldn't commend them enough. And I still see, like Benito Sainz of this world, he was my teacher. See him, and I always tell him, you did a great job as far as teaching me math. I see Julio Sainz did a good job teaching me chemistry. And you remember the good teachers. And that's what it's all about.
The direction that things are going, I firmly believe that the people, because you just brought more transparency to the table. This is the meaning of transparency. The paperwork, the explanation of it. You are being transparent. You're not promising to be transparent if you win. You're not keeping the paperwork and saying, oh, I have some very juicy stuff in secret that I'll let you have if you elect. You're coming to the table, you're saying, look, this is what's going on. This is what's happening. This is how much money they say we have. This is how much money we really have. This is what they spent. This is what's going on. And you're looking at it, and you guys don't have the majority. And someone might say, well, it's because you don't have the majority. And no, I'm listening to what you're saying. You're not a small thinker. You're not a fishbowl inside the box thinker. You are outside of the box looking at the big picture. And you're basically saying, this is what's happening. This is what I feel we need to do. And you're communicating it to the common person, to guys like me, laymen, and you're basically saying, we need to make a divide. And the divide has to start with the people that are being frivolous, careless with the resources that we have available. And I see that happening across the county. It's not just RGCCISD, it's everywhere.
Remember, Oz, winter is coming.